So tonight, we're going to be going over why you shouldn't use the bank to buy property, especially if you're investing in property. And for all my brokers, real estate agents, and wholesalers, or people that are helping people buy homes, you want to definitely tune in and probably save this, because this is going to be a game changer when you guys start looking at other alternatives and getting creative. So on Monday, we talked about creative financing. I went through a lot of details. So we went through creative financing, all the different types of creative financing. So what I'm gonna talk to tonight is I'm gonna break down for you guys what seller financing is. That was one of the first ones that we talked about. So we're gonna talk about seller financing, what it means and more in depth, and then ways that you can use seller financing or owner financing to acquire property. Again, we're in a market now where the interest rates are super expensive. And so not only if you're looking for, if a buyer is looking for a home, even investors, it's getting tough, because although rental rates are up, with the interest rates also going up, it makes it very tough to do what we call create cash flow, which is the difference between your loan payments or all your expenses and then the income that's coming in. So if you have more expenses or just the same amount of expenses that are coming in from your rental property, then you're not going to be making a lot of money, or you're not going to generate cash flow. So let's talk about owner financing. I have a couple of different topics I want to go into. First thing is, what do we need to know about seller financing? The number one question I get asked is, do I have to have any money? You don't in some cases, and it really depends on the rapport you built if you're working directly with the seller. But in most cases, such as 98% of the time, you're going to have some type of cash, just like you would for a house that you're buying with the bank. You're going to need some type of down payment. So the down payment would go towards a percentage towards the seller. And then if you needed to pay fees like commission fees or wholesale fees or whatever fees for someone to bring you that type of deal structure, you're going to have to pay them cash up front, right? Because they're helping you get into a house. So do you need money? Yes. Most of the time, unless you're working directly with the seller, you built up rapport with the seller, you're going to need cash. And it really depends on how you structure the deal. It may be 5%, 10%, 20%, 25%. It really just depends on the type of deal. But yes, you will need upfront cash to go towards the down payment, which means paying out the seller, paying out any other individuals that brought you the deal, such as a realtor or a wholesaler. Okay, so down payment, you definitely need that. And the other thing you want to look at is your monthly payments. So typically, in generally, those payments are going to be higher, right? Because when you're doing owner financing, you're not using the same type of underwriting that institutional banks are using, or either government guidelines require. So because of that, and because technically it's a little bit riskier, right? You're going to see higher monthly payments. Now, typically these monthly payments are going to go in line with whatever the current rent rate is, but you still need to plan for your payments. So if you're already paying $2,000 in rent and you're looking to buy a house, want to buy something that's owner finance or seller finance, this is just for your retail buyers. You want to make sure that you can work out a deal where you still keep your payments that you could afford at your rental property the same as your monthly payments for the owner finance deal or the seller finance deal. And then if you are an investor that is looking to get into an owner finance situation, you want to make sure that what you can charge as rent rates, that you still could cash flow what you owe to the seller. So for instance, if the seller requires, a monthly payment of $500 a month, and the rental rates is $1,000 a month, then given all your expenses, you can make money because you can make the difference in the middle. So you want to make sure that whatever that payment is, that it covers all of your expenses, that once all the inflows are done for that month, that you still are able to cash flow. All right. And then Balloons. We're going to go over balloon payments. So balloons are basically, it's different from an ARM, which is an adjustable rate, which means the rate increases over a period of time. It stays usually fixed for the first maybe 10 years or so, and then it increases over the next few years. A balloon payment is the rate will stay fixed, but essentially they're going to call the loan due at a certain time. And that time can be 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. Now, the reasoning behind this is because they don't want to be in an owner. Most sellers or owners don't want to be in a seller financing situations for long periods of time. They want to do it as a solution to something in the short term. So if you find a seller that requires a balloon, they're doing this because they're under the impression that interest rates in the market will go down and you can refinance and carry and have that note carried with a lender, like an institutional bank, once rates go down a little bit or stabilize, or you're able to buy it outright cash if you somehow come across the money. So they just want to be able to take themselves out of the equation in that period of time. So they would set those balloons to be due. And sometimes if you get a really good deal and you've built up equity, you can just take that equity, like refinance, take that equity and pay them out. That is what a balloon is. So we're going to go over those a little bit more in detail about when to use, what you need to know about owner financing. So again, you want to start looking at owner finance opportunities. And this goes for, again, my realtors, brokers, and buyers. If you're having a tough time getting qualified to buy a home or getting pre-approved to buy a home, you may want to start looking at some creative ways to get into homes. Even some of the houses that have been on the MLS for a few months that have not sold, you want to ask your realtor, hey, do you think we can consider an owner finance situation? Here's the deal. This is my credit score. I haven't been evicted in the last 2 or 3 years, or no eviction is better, but at least the last 2 or 3 years, no foreclosures. I haven't, I'm not going through a bankruptcy. My credit is good. My DTI is high. I can't get approved for the home that I want. Do you think we can talk to them about an owner finance situation? And so what you also need to know when you're looking at that is you want to ask, if you don't know how to do this, you want to ask either your realtor, your broker, whoever's helping you. You want to ask them to pull the information on the property. So all the public information, you want to know when it was last sold and what they paid for it, if there's anything that's owed on the property. So what you want to do, the reason why you want that information is because you want to understand how much equity they have in the property. So if they bought it for $100,000 and they still owe about, let's say, $65,000. However, right now the market says that it's worth about $150,000, then they have a lot of equity. You still have to satisfy, that equity piece. And I wanted to go back and say, when you're doing seller finance, though, if they still owe anything on it, that's considered technically a subject to financing. But if they pull it and it's 100% paid, free and clear, then you want to see what equity situation they're in. So if the house is worth 150, obviously it's 150 in equity, but how much money do they need up front, right? How much money do they need to walk in order to create a structure like this? All right. So that is what you need to know. You want to know what equity position they have in the property, whether it's paid off free and clear. That's put you in an owner financing situation, or whether they still owe on it, it puts you in a sub to the existing financing situation. And then once you do that, then you can start to work with your realtor. If they understand, ask them, do you understand what owner financing is, or subject or seller financing is? If they're a really on it type of realtor, they will do the research and they will go and seek the information, because they can put together deals, because this happens all the time in commercial settings, like commercial real estate. It doesn't happen as much in the residential world, just because usually financing is readily available versus in the commercial, where it's based on asset classes and things of that nature. That is what you need to know. about getting into seller financing. So just to recap, want to make sure that you understand what down payment you want to get into, what the monthly payments that you can afford on that property. And then you want to understand balloons, meaning based on my credit and where the market is, what can I negotiate with that owner as far as a balloon payment? Once the interest rate comes down, then I'll be able to build a little equity over time. I'll be able to get traditional financing or conventional financing. And it'll also lower your interest rate that you have with the seller and possibly your payments because you are able to get in at a lower rate in the future. All right, so that is what you need to know about seller financing. And with all this being said, if you're looking to reclaim your time, make more money, and lock up more real estate sales and streamline everything, you need to grab my course on how to make 6 figures in real estate with just one client. This is where I guarantee you that I can help you scale your real estate business. You'll learn the business model, the step-by-step process, and you'll get access to my legal kit and my scripts, email scripts and text messaging scripts. Also, this is everything you'll need to guarantee your growth in the next 90 days. If you don't grow, I'm going to give you your money back. No questions asked. If you're interested, go to the link in the description. This is the same process that I used in order to generate over $80 million in sales for a builder. If you want to take advantage of this opportunity, and you want to create generational wealth, all right? No one, and I mean no one, has ever offered this type of course for agents and builders, a course that teaches you how to work with builders, how to work with serial investors, because most agents or even brokers don't even understand this world, and I do. So if you're interested, click the link in the description. If not, I strongly suggest you check out the next 2 videos. They're going to be the videos that YouTube suggests that you watch next. Thank you so much for your time. Talk soon.